the pros and cons of beautiful Orange County, California. And since I started with beautiful, let's talk about a pro.
Yeah,
We're talking about the beautiful weather that we have here, the beautiful skies. I mean, it's just so nice. Honestly, the biggest pro.
I mean, and again, like, that's not a secret, right? I mean, everyone, I mean, that's the vast majority of people that reach out to me. I mean, they want to live in this kind of weather year round, and so they just, you know, they've always had their dream of moving out here. And finally, it's, you know, the opportunity presents itself, and they're jumping at it. So I can understand it. I mean, it's really nice weather, and you can get, obviously, like, again, I put Orange County's weather up with any place in the world. I mean, that's truly, like, I think it's actually better than anywhere else in the world. I know some people will say there's some random pockets of these particular spots in different pockets of the world, but honestly, especially when you consider everything else that Orange County has to offer, the weather here just trumps everybody.
Yeah, and then with that weather, you're going to get a major con, and that's what they call the sunshine tax, right?
Oh, yeah.
So expensive to live here. I mean, just general cost of living, cost of housing. You know, you're paying for this, right? I mean,
yeah, we're not sugarcoating it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, yeah, you have high taxes here, so state income tax is certainly like on the high side.
Very
we
high.
still have sales tax. So some places you kind of get either or. Only a few places, but like there are some places that's an either or. You get both here, so you have that. Our property taxes are, I would say, fairly reasonable. You know, considering other places, you know, like for instance, Texas can have crazy high like property taxes.
Although with the properties being so high, you are paying a lot in property tax, even though it's a small percentage.
And if you're buying something, you know, like that's actually newer construction, then you have Melrose, which obviously it could theoretically bump the tax rate close to 2%, which is very high, like almost a doubling. You know, again, not every Melrose is created equal. That's when you reach out to us if, you know, if you're interested in a property, we can kind of tell you, okay, what are the other costs associated to it. But yes, there is, you know, potential Melrose, obviously, and the big one is obviously the price of the properties itself. At the time of this recording, the median sales price is about, for a single family residence, about $1.4 million in Orange County. That's obviously not cheap. Depending on where you're coming from, though, may not be. Again, could be more or less payment shock. You know, every place, like people are reaching out from, you know, let's say New York or the Bay Area or Los Angeles or, you know, like that kind of thing, or, you know, different parts like internationally. It doesn't sound so bad, but then other people for reaching out, like, you know, wow, that's a, you know, they're moving out of their 6,000 square foot house to buy, you know, 1,500 square foot house. You know, it can be like quite a big change. So before we continue, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Sean Dezahd.
And I'm Courtney Dezahd.
And we're licensed realtors here in the state of California. And if you're watching this channel, you might be thinking, wow, Sean, I love Orange County. I love the perfect blue skies. I mean, look at this. I love the beautiful weather. I can't wait to move in here. Now, the problem is I'm not local. I may be out of state. I may be even out of the country, so I don't know what to do. I totally get that. That's when you reach out to us so we can have that conversation, finding out specifically what you're looking for, and we can be your boots on the ground. We can actually do virtual tours of not just the properties, but the neighborhoods as well. Again, when we have that conversation, we really get really granular about specifically what you're looking for. So what you want to do is you want to give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country.
But again, because you're outside all the time, you don't actually need as big of a house.
Yeah.
I guess I think that I kind of understand why people would have a big house, because that's where they're going to be. Like they're not, you know, they're not going to like get out of there. So if you know, if you're actually not stuck in your home all the time, you don't actually need to be in it as much.
That actually is true. That's actually a good point. Like, we're almost never home.
No.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, because it's like, well,
it's nice.
Yeah, if you can be
I don't want to be at home.
Yeah, well, you want to be outdoors. I mean, you want to live the coveted indoor outdoor lifestyle.
Yeah. And since we're on cons, let's go with another con, and that is traffic. I mean, the traffic just sucks here, and honestly, it is getting worse. I mean, I don't know what they're doing with that fast track lane that they're doing in there.
You're really bitter about that?
I'm very bitter about that, and it's just gonna make it worse, and I don't know what's happening with it. A lot of times we say that Orange County has the best traffic in Southern California, which it does.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's not getting any better.
Well, yeah.
It's getting worse.
Yeah, I think Courtney's really particularly irritated by the
really
405 freeway having the fast track thing, which I don't like either, I agree. But like the thing is, what we do have here is that for Orange County, we have a ton of different freeways. So as far as a small of a geography that of our footprint that we have actually a lot of freeways that run through it. And on top of that, we have really major arteries as far as normal roads. So these roads aren't a 2-lane country road, right? These are like 8-lane roads that usher you through where the speed limit's 50, 55 miles an hour. You're moving pretty good. So you can actually get to, you know, a lot of times we're taking side streets.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, to get to.
I will avoid the freeway at all costs.
Yeah, and then not all freeways are created equal. Some freeways are horrifically bad.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to you, 55 and 91. So they're really tough freeways a lot of
Yeah.
times. So, and again, depending on the time of the day, it's really brutal. But you know that, right? So you know there's alternate routes to get to where you need to go to usually. Like that's kind of one of the things that because there's some places like, even when I've gone to LA, sometimes to get to some of these parts, like if you're going to Beverly Hills, like off the 405 freeway, that road is terrible. There's like only one real way to get there, and it's just like so bad.
Yeah.
But like here, there's usually alternate routes, unless you're going to Laguna, which that they purposely make it really tough to
Yeah.
get into it.
Yeah, Laguna, you get a little bit of the LA traffic.
Yeah, that 133 freeway is just
Yeah.
no joke.
You do. And since you brought up Laguna, let's talk about the beaches, right? I mean, that's another huge reason people live here. Even if you're not beachfront, which is going to come with a rather large price tag, you know, you've got access to some absolutely fantastic
Beautiful beaches, yeah.
If you love water sports, I mean, you've got everything you really need here. So
yeah, you have harbors, you have the back bay, which you can do kayaking and all that. I mean, you have the ocean. It's the ocean, the beaches. Honestly, the beaches, it's always funny because when I've gone to different places in the world, like, okay, I used to live in Hawaii for a couple of years. People were like, just raving all about how amazing these beaches were. And I'm going, they're great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. They're nice beaches, but I'm going, I come from Orange County. I mean, we have incredible beaches. I didn't find that like it was outclassed in any way, shape, or form.
the waves are way better in Hawaii. But in terms of like the actual beach experience, I agree. I mean, that's why I've never been a big huge fan of Hawaii. I'm always like, eh.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm from
it's nice.
California.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm not nothing wrong with it. It's just that
Yeah.
I'm not super impressed by it because our beaches are so good. And then when we went to Nice in France, again, one of those, we went to Cannes and Nice, for our honeymoon, and I was going, okay, I mean, the beaches are nice, but
I like the Mediterranean better though because it doesn't have sharks. I'm afraid of
oh
sharks.
my gosh, I'm honestly more terrified of rivers and lakes than I'd 100 times out of 100 I'd be in the ocean. I remember when you were doing a race in Alabama and we were swimming in the river. I was so uncomfortable because I don't know rivers. And maybe it's all fine. I want to get a brain-eating amoeba or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many weird things.
Yeah.
I'm like, I do not want to touch that stuff. Whereas put me in the ocean all day, every day, I'm good.
I don't know. I'll just tell you that one time I swam pier to pier in Newport, so that has 2 piers. The whole time, I thought I was going to get eaten by a shark.
And were you?
No, I didn't. But I also once swam La Jolla Cove, thought I was going to get eaten the whole time. But there are people that get eaten once every 2 or 3 years.
Oh my.
Somebody will get eaten. I'm terrified.
Again, that's like lightning strikes more frequently than a shark attack. And so, again, Orange County, beaches, oceans do not worry me at all. I would take an ocean any day over a lake or over a river.
So another big pro of Orange County is the schools. So the schools, sometimes you might live in an area where, you love the area, but you kind of just have to do the private schools. I mean, I know San Francisco is really famous for that, but here in Orange County, we always like to say that no matter where you're living, you have options for a very highly ranked school. Maybe the school that you're zoned for isn't that highly ranked, but, look on niche.com, look on greatschools.org. There are really, really highly ranked schools all over the county. So that's one public schools. So that's one nice thing. It's so expensive to live here, but at least you don't have to do private school if you don't want to.
Because actually I do get people reaching out all the time, and one of the main reasons, especially if they live fairly close by, let's say live in LA County or the Bay Area, is because of schools. Because they don't want to put their kids through private school and all that stuff. And so you do have, again, really good public schools. I mean, if you want private schools, we have really good ones here too. Mm-hmm. And again, that's one of those things where it's like, well, what's it ranked and what does that exactly mean? Because, that not everyone, just because it's ranked high doesn't mean it's right for your your child. So that's where you go to these Facebook forums or you contact the school administrators, kind of making sure that it's a good fit for your child, of course.
Another big pro of Orange County is the parks. So here's an example. We're at Mason Park in Irvine. Irvine is, we call Irvine the land of 10,000 parks. And there's it's not just Irvine. I mean, Irvine's kind of famous for that, but it's honestly everywhere. Even in North County, which isn't as well planned as South County, there's tons of parks everywhere. It's really nice.
Tons of parks. I mean, honestly, it feels like a park is always appropriate distance away. It doesn't feel like a park is that far away.
Yeah.
Now it may not be the best park. Maybe that best park is a short drive from you, but there's parks all over the place, and it's such a nice, again, I guess another reason why you don't necessarily need the huge lots or the huge houses, because you're outdoors a lot, but also you're outdoors a lot in parks.
Yeah, for sure. And then I do think, Orange County is known for being just clean and well manicured, and the parks sort of add to that. And I will say that's kind of a big difference between Orange County and LA, is that it just feels so much more well manicured, I would say, than LA. That's another reason people really like it.
Yeah, it's definitely not an afterthought. They know that this is kind of one of the features that's going to be utilized a lot, so it's not just a grassy space just to be there, right? Like it's actually, it's designed to be used. I mean, and people do partake, I mean, all the time.
And since we have been talking about a lot of pros, let's get some cons in. I mean, I did just talk about LA, and one thing that maybe someone might like about LA over us is that LA is, in parts of it, definitely more charming. I would say San Diego is similar, whereas Orange County, it has a reputation for being sterile, right? Everything looks the same, and parts of it certainly do. So I would say, you know, if you're not used to that, it can be something that you don't like, especially in a city like Irvine, especially depending on what neighborhood you're in. So
yeah, like, you know, there's that whole like a different shade of beige kind of thing, right? Where it's like you have like one of 4 floor plans in an association, and it's all a slight different shade of beige, and so it doesn't feel like there's much variety, much culture to it. But again, they've done, well, the newer construction stuff has actually done a better job of differentiating a little bit. And then the stuff that, so it's almost like that stuff that's built between, I would say, the 1970s and 1990s, that's where you get a lot of that stereotype.
Yeah.
But then when you're going to the newer stuff, it doesn't feel as like, again, as similar to each other. And then the stuff that's older, well, 2 things happen. One, those properties, they've probably maybe built a second story on it, or they've done an extension, or they changed the facade on it, or they torn it down altogether, built something else. So you kind of have more variation naturally because it's old enough for people to just change things pretty dramatically.
Yeah, but if you are going for some of the newer communities because you like the variation, then you probably will have Mello-Roos tax, and that's another con.
Yeah. So yeah, so Mello-Roos, I think we touched upon it briefly, but basically Mello-Roos is this additional layer of property tax that's added to newer construction. So think circa 2000 and newer, there's Mello-Roos, and what Mello-Roos does is that you basically, it's extra funds that are received, or, you know, that are charged to you, that's to help fund new roads, schools, fire stations, like just new infrastructure. So that's where they're pulling that money from to do it. Now, Mello-Roos can range dramatically. So one, it could be, you know, a few $100s a year to almost doubling your property tax rate, and it varies by development. So you want to reach out, and we can obviously have a conversation to let you know. But secondly, on top of that, is that with Mello-Roos, because depending, it falls off of a certain amount of years. So if the property was built around 2000 itself, then that Mello-Roos is only going to be, should only be there for about maybe 5 years or so longer, 5 to 10 years maybe. But if something's brand new being built, that Mello-Roos could be on for another 40 years plus. So it's all over the place. But having said that, the vast majority of Orange County is actually built prior to 2000. So you're probably more closer to that 1.1% of the assessed value for property taxes. And then actually that should get us to a pro, is that we have Prop 13, which basically what that is that it kind of locks your property taxes in more or less at the time that you purchased it. So basically, now of course there's caveats to all this stuff, but basically whatever you bought it for, it can only go up a maximum of 2%. The assessed value can only go up at a maximum of 2% per year. So we have years where the property values went up 20%. And so, but even though the property values did that, the assessed value only goes up 2% maximum. So you have a lot of people that, let's say, have owned for decades. Their property taxes are so low because they locked in at such a long time ago. So that's one of those things where, again, that is at least a pro, is that at least you can kind of more or less count on your payment kind of staying there for the most part.
And another big pro of Orange County is its economy. We've got a massive economy. I think if we were a country, what would be
like 73rd or something like that?
Something like that, yeah. I mean, it's a very large economy. If we were a state, I think we'd be very high up in the terms of the top 50 states.
Yes.
So, yeah, you know, a lot of the people that call Sean that are moving here to Orange County, a lot of the reason is because they got a job here, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Yeah, so the cherry on top was actually the weather. And so that's like maybe what made them choose one job over the other. But basically the fact is that people need the job, of course, if they're still not retiring yet. So basically they're coming out here because they got a job opportunity. And we have so many different fields. Like, it's not like Orange County's just one thing. Like, so back in the day, we used to be like, let's say, more primarily like aerospace. But we're such a diverse economy at this point that almost like depending on what you're looking for, you can find it here. So we're big on biotech, we're big on technology in general, but we're just kind of across the entire spectrum as far as like all the different fields that, there's tons of jobs in.
Yeah. Now, another big pro of Orange County is its crime and safety statistics. That's kind of hard to say. It's a little tongue twister. But I mean, of course, not every neighborhood in Orange County has better than average crime and safety statistics. But, there are a lot of cities all over Orange County that have very good, and I mean when you're comparing it to the national average, its statistics are very good. And if you are interested in a particular neighborhood, depending on what city it is, usually the cities, if you do a little digging, you can find a crime map. The police department of that city will publish a crime map. So, you can do your own research for that as well. But that is one thing I think people really, really like about Orange County.
Yeah, people do have that. And then again, sometimes, whenever someone does ask me about crime and safety, I'm always careful because it's such a subjective thing that where what I might think is safe and what you might think is safe could be very, very different things. And even what's reported as the statistics could feel, whatever they might say it is, may feel better or worse to you, right? Yeah. So that's where I go, okay, one, do your digging, right? There's like lots of FBI data, as well as you can look up, niche.com offers some stuff. Like you said, the police departments of these various cities offer some information. So you can kind of look up to get the general data, but that only tells you part of the story. Really, it's kind of one of those things where now you go to that, like let's say you're interested in a specific neighborhood. Okay, go to that area, different times of the day and in the evening, kind of get a feel of, okay, how does this feel for you? Because I've had people that, even though let's say Irvine's been ranked, was it 18 years in a row, like #1 for a city of 250,000 or more.
For safety.
For safety. Even though it's ranked that high, people will go, okay, they want to move to Irvine, let's say, that's what they want to do. They also want to have a gated community in Irvine. You're going, okay, to me, that sounds like overkill, but again, that's, to me, that's not, that's, everyone is very, very different. And that's where I'm like, I don't want to pretend to say that this is safe or that's safe. Yeah. Because really, that's a very subjective thing.
For sure. Another pro of Orange County is how convenient and how well planned it is. I do think that, especially in comparison to San Diego and LA.
And Inland Empire.
Is that we're just so well planned that kind of you talk about the Orange County bubble. People don't like to leave Orange County. A lot of times people don't like to leave the little neighborhood that they're in because kind of everything they need is just right there. So, it's just really, really convenient.
It really is. I mean, so again, that's like how we talked about, like when we leave the orange bubble to go to, let's say, LA, it almost doesn't feel like there's a rhyme or reason to it. Yeah. Whereas in Orange County, you're going, man, there should be a gas station here. Okay. And there inevitably is something that's relatively close by. Or there should be a park, or there should be a convenience store, or like a grocery store, or like it's logical. It just kind of, you're on, okay, they really thought this thing through. Yeah. And again, not every area is going to be perfectly set up that way, but it feels like more often than not, I understand the flow of it and again, tends to make sense.
Another big pro of Orange County is it has a really good diversity. And so, kind of the statistic we use for that is, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 50% of households in Orange County speak a language other than English at home. So that just kind of shows you, what a melting pot Orange County is. And it really is. It's a melting pot. I mean, go to the farmer's market on a Saturday, you'll see people from all over the world. So.
Well, I mean, just like cuisine too, right? I mean, you just you just get so much exposure to everything that's different here. And again, I really enjoy that exposure for sure.
For sure.
And remember, we are licensed realtors here in the state of California. So as much as we love making these videos, what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, what you need to do is give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country.